What is up, guys? Lee the Bat Fan here, and I just thought to jump on today just to have a little chat about what's been going on lately. So I really just wanted to come on today just to explain my current situation. So for those of you that may follow me on Instagram, usually I try and post every day, or if not, maybe every other day. Just recently it feels like I haven't posted much at all, partly because I've been going through a phase where I haven't really bought quite as much, just because there's not been as much to buy. But also it is just a bit of a block at the moment, I think, which I've experienced before, and I know other people out there do as well, because I've had this conversation with some people, but it's a bit of a collector's block I think you get sometimes, where you just don't really know what direction to go next, and you kind of feel almost to the point where you've kind of got most of the stuff that you've been spending ages trying to get, so then it leaves you with like nothing else to try and look out for. And I've also realised lately that a lot of new things I've been getting in, such as like when Hot Toys figures have finally been released and they come through the post, it's crazy how, like, for such expensive pieces, bearing in mind a Hot Toys figure are like £250 or something, I just have realised that they're not actually giving me much joy anymore. I sort of open it on the dining table, check it out, maybe do a post of it or YouTube video, whatever. I've put it in the pose that I'm happy with, it will go in the cabinet, and then I just kind of forget about it. And that's just cost me like £250. Whereas like when I first started getting into collecting Hot Toys, they were so amazing, like the likeness and the detail, and I was blown away by it every time. And I'd be really wowed by the figure and I'd love it. And that's when obviously I only had a few. But I think there comes a point where maybe you have a bit too many and then they just lose their magic, like how special they're supposed to be to you. And yeah, I don't know, I just think like maybe, it's really difficult because I've done this room on purpose, being a bit OCD and like a completionist. I've literally done it where like I've got a shelf for every movie, and I've tried to make sure to get obviously all the main characters from that film and anything relevant, and even like the vehicles. I've got like every Batmobile in some form, just trying to sort of have it as complete as possible. So to start taking some of that away, it's really difficult because then it feels incomplete. So I just really don't know what to do. Like, do I just sell maybe some of the villains and keep just a different bat suit from every film, just to say you've got one of each different bat suit? Or do you just, I don't know. Because the thing is, you've got the Batman Part 2 coming out next year, and then at some point supposedly the DCU Batman, so straight away there's another 2 Batman films where there'll no doubt be collectibles for. And there'll come a point where obviously it just won't all fit. Because at the moment, I mean, I haven't got much space, but at some point something's got to give, whether that's reducing stuff or just being really ruthless and maybe just not having collectibles from every single Batman film, but maybe just some of my favourite stuff. I don't know, it's really difficult. This is going to be the hardest thing I've probably ever had to do, because I mean, I've literally collected Batman for my entire life. So to build it all up, I mean, I've sold plenty of stuff before, of course, when you're not bothered about certain things, but yeah, it's just going to be really difficult, because I think this will probably be the most ruthless kind of reduction in my stuff I've ever probably done. But I do think it is needed, because I've just hit that point, like I said, where I'm just not happy anymore. And I feel like for about the last 10 years now, I've been really solidly buying stuff. Like, I've been through phases in my life. Obviously, as a kid, you got all your childhood toys. Then there was a phase where I actually wasn't collecting much in the 2000s, just because of my age and other interests and stuff. And then I think then when obviously the last 10 years, I've really been back on it again, and especially buying these premium stuff now that I can afford it, like Hot Toys and that, which I never had previously. But I think it has just got to that point where maybe I've reached the end of this little phase, and maybe it's just like time to start a new chapter. But it's just really scary to do that. I know it sounds stupid, because of course there's bigger things to worry about in the world, but when it's your life and your collection that you've spent all that time building up, it is a big deal. And the main thing I don't want to do, of course, is have any regrets, because that would be the worst thing, like selling something and then really regretting it down the line. So I'd have to be absolutely sure about what I'm getting rid of, but I just know that something definitely needs to change. And the other thing I think is, as well, I've always been tempted to get a few bits from other things that I like. So for example, some other big interests of mine, like my favourite films, you got like Predator, Terminator, Robocop, all that sort of sci-fi stuff. And I've always sort of resisted the temptation, because just trying to be sensible, I know I've got a lot of Batman stuff and not enough space for everything. So why would you then go down the line of buying loads of other stuff which is completely not relevant to Batman? So I've always resisted that. But the thing is, like, I do like all that stuff, and I see some of the figures, like NECA figures you can get of like Predator and Terminator, and they look awesome. And I know, again, they would make me happy, and we're talking like £30 figures rather than £250 Hot Toys. So again, if I was to like reduce my collection quite a bit, maybe I could like start buying some other stuff like non-Batman related, and just incorporate a bit of a display cabinet just for other stuff perhaps. But then there's all the thing about my Instagram page. You know, I know most of my followers are there because of Batman, so if you don't start posting other stuff, will they then stop following you? So I don't know if I need a second page for other stuff that I might post, or do I just stick to just having one page? I don't know. One of my worries about Hot Toys, of course, is the you just don't quite have the longevity that other collectibles would have. So like certain statues will last for years, but of course we all know Hot Toys, you know, rubber suits degrade and capes or pleather material will perish, and you've probably got 15 years or something before that will happen. And that does play on my mind, because again, you spent all that money on all these figures, and some of which that will happen to. And you know, if anything, they're going to devalue, whereas a lot of collectibles, if anything, normally go up in value. So that is a bit annoying about that, and that sort of plays on my mind a little bit. But I mean, again, I wouldn't get rid of all of them, but I'm just thinking, what ones could I possibly reduce? And you know, there's other bits I know for a fact I'd never sell, like for example, Pure Arts Cowl, love that, perfect centerpiece. Iron Studios Batmobile, love that, my favourite Batmobile. So things like that I'm really happy to have. And of course, certain animated series stuff, like the Diamond Select half-scale busts of Batman and Joker, obviously they're my absolute favourite. And of course, all the DC Collectibles / McFarlane animated figures, you know, love those, because they are just even better versions of what we had as kids, you know, the Kenner version. So, you know, you can't go wrong with stuff like that. But I think part of the problem, of course, nowadays, you've got so many companies making so much stuff. So I think there's almost too much stuff that you could possibly buy. And I think that's kind of what's taken me out of it a little bit recently. You know, say like 10 years ago when I first started getting heavily back into buying stuff again, you know, there was only select few companies that were making stuff, and we really appreciated what they were doing at the time, like Mattel doing the 66 series figures for the first time, and again, DC Collectibles doing all the new versions of the animated series figures. But now you've got like so many different companies making everything, whether it's animated series, the 60s show, different movies, and I think that is the problem. There's just too much, and it's a bit overwhelming, and you just possibly can't have everything. So you obviously have to pick wisely. So do you get stuff from certain films? Do you collect things from a certain company or a certain scale? Obviously mine's all a bit mixed really, but you know, again, maybe I should try and focus on just one of those things. Like, do you just have a certain type of figure, or do you just have things from a certain film or animated series? But all I know is recently I just seem to have lost my spark a little bit for collecting Batman, which is crazy considering I've collected Batman for 32 years or something like that. I mean, I'll never stop collecting and having Batman stuff, of course, because I mean, that's non-negotiable. I mean, it's in my DNA. Literally, I was obsessed with Batman right from the age of like 4 or 5 and have been ever since. So that's something that will never change. It's just the fact that I've built up so much stuff now, and when you lose that joy of like opening things, you just think, well, what is the point in having it all? And I think the most ironic thing is you could spend, again, like £250 on average for a Hot Toys figure, so pretty expensive, and again, recently sort of not getting much joy from them at all. And yet I'll find something really random and quite rare, like a retro item on Vinted, whether that's like colouring books or an old mug or just an old board game, anything what I don't already have as part of the collection from like the 90s. And I'll get so much more joy out of that because it's the buzz that you've found something. Or it could be at the local car boot sale, you know, it's something which is like old, what you've come across, and normally less than £10 as well. And I'll get it, and that'll give me so much more joy than a figure which really is quite mass produced, because loads of people have got Hot Toys figures. I know some people think it's really random, like colouring books and activity books and board games and all that, but I think that is just the nostalgia and the child in me. Like, there's stuff that I would have had as a kid, and perhaps at some point my parents might have got rid of, so they're not in the collection anymore, or they're just things that I never quite owned. You know, I never did get round to getting whatever. So, yeah. But I just know, more than anything, as well as space saving, really, it is just the fact that when you know and start to see, like for yourself, that you're not getting the same joy out of things when you receive it, you think, actually, maybe I need to rein it in a little bit. But yeah, the main thing that I'm going to struggle with is just knowing what to sell. So yeah, I just really wanted to see if anyone could perhaps help in the comments and let me know what you think I should do. Anyway, thanks for listening to my rambling, and yeah, hit me up in the comments with your thoughts and opinions, and I'll speak to you soon.